I'm Ashley.
And I'm Neil.
Welcome to Family Game Time.
We're a family that plays together. Video games, card games, board games, you name it.
Yep, we're all about the games in this house. So today, Neil and I will be playing a 1-versus-1 Magic the Gathering Commander card game.
No, the only difference is that we play by is that whoever goes first doesn't draw.
Also, we use the multiplayer EDH ban list.
So we actually conform to that instead of playing with the dual commander for Magic the Gathering Online rules, which ban certain cards that I really like.
Yeah, all those cards that get you extra mana throughout your game that are a big necessity to our game.
For sure. We're hoping to provide more varied content in the future from Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, board games such as Sushi Go, Harry Potter. Who knows?
I also like to play some video games. You may see some Mario Kart videos, some Tomb Raider, Mario Odyssey. We don't know. We're going to wait and see how this channel goes and take it a video at a time, I think, for the beginning.
Yeah, this is our first video, so we're hoping that it goes well.
If you like what you see, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel.
And without further ado, let the games begin. Hello, Neil here, and today I'm going to be playing a Tishana Voice of Thunder deck. This is a unique take on Tishana. I have built her to be a draw engine. The deck is focused on giving out many creatures and then casting Tishana for a lot of draw value. We go from there to either attack with Tishana for game in a 1v1 game, or if you want to go for the straight win, we try to deck ourselves out and win with Laboratory Maniac. Today I started with an oddly decent hand. I decided to keep it simply because of the potential for this hand. I had one forest, yet another forest, Mana Crypt, Kruphix, God of Horizons, Kindred Discovery, Overbeing of Myth, and Garruk, Caller of Beasts. Mana Crypt provides us 2 additional mana on turn 1 if we so choose to play it. Kruphix, God of Horizons allows us to store that mana. Kindred Discovery allows us to draw cards when we have creatures entering the battlefield. And we also have Overbeing of Myth to provide an additional draw on each turn, and Garruk, Caller of Beasts to cheat our creatures from the from our hand onto the battlefield and from the top of our deck into our hand. If I draw into some blue mana, this is going to be a great hand. I think that's it. I'll see you in game.
Hey guys, it's Ashley here. Today I will be playing a Mina and Den Wildborn deck. She is an elf ally legendary creature with 4/4 power and toughness. She has a mana cost of green, red, and 2 more. Her abilities are, I may play an additional land on each of my turns. I may pay green and red to return a land you control to its owner's hand. Target creature gains trample until end of turn. So the theme of my deck is basically play my lands, bounce my lands to my hand, give creatures trample to swing for lethal damage. My opening hand was a very good hand. I started with 5 lands, and my lands were a Copperline Gorge. Copperline Gorge enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Then it can tap for a red or a green mana. So I like to play this card if it's in my opening hand. I'll play it as my first or second land for turn, so that when I play it, it does not enter tapped. Next, I had a Mossfire Valley. This land, I need to pay 1 mana to tap it, and I can add red and green to my mana pool. Third, I had a Crumbling Vestige. Crumbling Vestige enters the battlefield tapped. When Crumbling Vestige enters the battlefield, I may add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool. And then it taps for 1 colorless mana. Next, I had a Rugged Highlands. This land enters the battlefield tapped. When Rugged Highlands enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. Then I could tap it to add a red or a green to my mana pool. And my 5th land was a Basic Forest. The next cards I had in my hand were a Skull Clamp. For 1 mana, it's an artifact equipment. I can equip it for 1 colorless mana. It gives equipped creature gets +1, -1, And whenever equipped creature dies, I draw 2 cards. So this card is really good to help me ping off my tokens or my low-powered creatures to draw into my lands. My last card I had in my opening hand was a Rites of Flourishing. It is an enchantment that helps both players, or multiplayers if you're playing in more than 2 players, for a green mana and 2 more. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws a card. So this basically means that you get to draw an additional card apart from your 1 card for turn. Each player may play an additional land on each of his or her turns. Now this card is really good to help me draw into 2 mana or 2 lands, which will allow me to play multiple lands on my turn to help me with my landfall abilities. So yeah, that was my opening hand. I'll see you all in game.
We both have not rolled yet, so we'll roll to see who goes first here. Alrighty. So Ashley wins the dice roll.
I'll go second.
Alrighty. Typically going first has an advantage in Commander, however in multiplayer, in dual 2-player Commander, it's a little more justified to go second and get the extra draw. I'm going to keep this.
As will I.
Okay. I will start with the forest.
Alright, I will draw for turn. I will play a forest.
Excellent.
And pass the turn.
Drawing. I'll throw down 1 more forest and pass.
Draw. I will play a Copperline Gorge. It enters untapped as I control 2 or fewer lands.
And those fast lands are pretty awesome when you draw them early in EDH.
And then I'll pass the turn.
And I'm drawing here. Wow. This lack of blue mana is unhelpful. I'm going to play another forest and end the turn.
I will draw. I will play a Rugged Highlands. It enters tapped. As it enters, I gain 1 life, bringing me up to 41 life in past turn.
Sounds like fun. Can this be blue mana? Oh, it is. Look at that. Kind of. So I'm going to float a green and play a Simic Growth Chamber, bouncing this land to my hand and doing nothing with that green. You can go.
I will untap. I will draw a card. I will play a mountain. Then I will tap green, red, and 2 more to bring in my commander, Mina and Denn Wildborn. Pass the turn.
Quite excellent here. So I'll untap and draw. Finally, I can play a decent turn here. I'm going to throw down a Mana Crypt, which I've been holding for a few turns, like since turn 1. And I'm going to play blue-green and 3 more and cast Krufix, God of Horizons. So Krufix gives me a no max hand size and allows mana that would empty from my pool to become colorless instead of emptying from the pool completely. This affords me some extra mana as I go into turns. Go ahead.
I will untap. I will then draw a card. First, I will tap a forest for green and 1 more to play down a Lotus Cobra.
Lotus Cobra, excellent.
It's a power and toughness of 2/1. It has a landfall ability. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under my control, I may add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool.
This thing can get crazy if lands start hitting the board a lot.
So I will play a mountain, and I will add a green mana to my mana pool. I will then play a Crumbling Vestige. It comes in tapped, and as it comes in, two things are going to happen. I'm going to put Lotus Cobra on the stack of Crumbling Vestige. So when this card enters the battlefield, I add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool. I will add a green mana. Then Lotus Cobra will trigger. And I will add a red mana to my mana pool.
Excellent. Nothing like getting 2 mana out of 1 land. Oh, keep in mind, if you're wondering, she's not cheating. Her commander does allow her to play an additional land each turn. It's great to have a commander that does that.
I will then pay 1 of my floating green mana, and then pay the floating green and the floating red for a total mana cost of green and 2 more. I'm going to play an enchantment called Rites of Flourishing. And this card, at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. Each player may play an additional land on each of his or her turns. So I will play a Mossfire Valley. As it comes in, Lotus Cobra triggers, and I add a forest. Or a green mana, sorry.
Wow.
I will pay the floating green to play a simple Skulk Lamp, and I will pass the turn now.
Jeez. What an explosive turn on turn 4. 5. Turn 5. Same thing. Alright. So I'm going to play yet another forest. Oh, I apologize, I did misplay. I will have to roll for Mana Crypt. Heads being even, odds being tails, and I will call heads. And it is a 6, meaning I am safe, no damage. I will now play my forest. And I'm going to keep it simple this turn. I'm going to pay 5 mana, so green, blue, green, 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 to cast an Overbeing of Myth. So Overbeing of Myth's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in my hand, which is currently 5. At the beginning of my draw step, I draw an additional card. Since Rites of Flourishing is in play, I do get an additional card, so that's 3. The 10 devotion that Overbeing of Myth provides definitely makes Kruphix a creature, which is quite fantastic. And with that, I will attack with Kruphix for 4 damage.
I will take 4.
Alrighty. And I'll drop to 37.
37.
Excellent. And with that, I will pass the turn.
I will untap. I will draw 2 for turn. Then I will tap 3 mana to play down a Chromatic Lantern. Chromatic Lantern gives lands I control, tap, add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool, and then I can tap Chromatic Lantern itself to add 1 mana of any color to my mana pool.
Curious as to why you didn't attack me last turn.
I will then pay green, red. So I'm tapping my Crumbling Vestige to tap my Mossfire Valley for green, red. I will then play a Scourge Guildmage. I can pay red, green, creatures I control gain trample until end of turn. Red, green, and 1 more. Target land I control becomes a 4/4 elemental creature until end of turn. It's still a land.
Animating lands can be fun stuff. Also potentially dangerous. Remember my Noyan Dar deck? That was a fun deck.
How many cards do you have in hand?
5. I'm at 5 in my hand.
So I will pass the turn, no attacks.
Okay. On your end step, I should have done this last turn, but I didn't. I'm going to tap my Mana Crypt for 2 colorless, my forest for a green. Because of Krufix's ability, at the end of your turn, it will empty into 3 colorless, which I will float in my pool. Okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I should have done that last turn. I had 2 forests on the end of your turn. I will roll for Mana Crypt. And naming heads as always. I always name heads for future reference, and I am safe. Due to Rites of Flourishing and my Overbeing of Myth, I get to draw an additional 2 cards, which actually works with my deck, considering it is a draw power deck. I am going to pay 1 green and one of my floating colorless to cast a Lotus Cobra. Would have thought we'd both have a Lotus Cobra, huh? I'm going to play a forest, and I'm going to use that forest entry to trigger my Lotus Cobra and add a blue to the mana pool. Time to have some fun. I'm going to pay blue. 2 blue, I apologize. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to cast an enchantment called Kindred Discovery. As Kindred Discovery enters the battlefield, I choose a creature type. Whenever a creature I control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, I draw a card. I'm going to declare Elf.
Alright.
Okay? And I'm going to pay green and 3 more to cast Vizier of the Menagerie. So, Vizier of the Menagerie is a pretty interesting card. Allows me to look at the top card of my library whenever I like. I'm also allowed to cast the top card of my deck if it is a creature card. And I can spend mana as though it were mana of any kind to cast creature spells. So now I don't have to worry about the number of blue mana I have to cast a creature spell. It's quite useful. For example, I can go like this. Green and a colorless to cast Kior's Follower. So, Kior's Follower allows me to untap another target permanent. Okay? Right. I have to tap hit. So it is going to cause some problems for me. And with that excellent awesome turn, I will attack Krufix for another 4.
This time I will like to block with my Scargild Mage. It will die.
Oof. That's a good block, though. Stopping a god attack is pretty powerful, especially with the huge butt on Krufix. You may go.
I will untap my lands. I will draw 2 for Rites of Flourishing.
Yeah, I can play 2 lands too, but I'm not drawing lands.
I will play a forest, triggering Lotus Cobra, adding a green mana to my mana pool.
Fun stuff.
I will then pay green, green, red, red, and 3 more.
Uh-oh.
I will be bringing in Omnith, Locus of Rage.
Powerful card.
So it has a landfall ability. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under my control, I put a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token onto the battlefield. Whenever Omnith, Locus of Rage, or another elemental I control dies, Omnith deals 3 damage to target creature or player, so that can get out of hand. Alrighty. I will then pay a green mana and 1 more to play a Seek the Wilds. So this card is going to allow me to look at the top 4 cards of my library. I may reveal a creature or a land card from among them, put it into my hand, put the rest on the bottom of my library in any order. Any response to that?
No, you're good. I am tapped out of mana, unfortunately.
I will reveal Kenra Charioteer.
It's an excellent card from Amonkhet. I think it's seriously misunderstood.
I agree. So it will come to my hand. And with that, I will pass the turn.
No swings?
No swings.
Alrighty. Okay, I will untap all of my mana, and then I will roll for Mana Crypt, naming heads. And it is a 2. I Excellent. That's the third time in a row I've been protected from that. We'll draw my 3 for turn. I'm going to tap my Mana Crypt for 2 colorless mana. Okay. Then I'm going to tap Kiyora's Follower to untap my Mana Crypt. Okay?
Alright.
Going to have some fun here. I'm going to pay the 2 colorless and a green. I'm going to cast a sorcery called Cultivate. For those of you who don't know what Cultivate is, it allows me to search my library for 2 basic land cards. One goes to the battlefield, and one goes to my hand. I've been looking for a card like this so far this game. I only run a handful of islands, 5 I believe, in this deck, so drawing them isn't exactly easy. So I will grab these. Would you like to cut?
Stay tuned for deck profiles of these decks in a future video.
I think I'm running a quite unique version of Tishana, a Voice of Thunder. Most people are doing Merfolk Tribal for this deck, but I took a different version of it here. So with my island entering the battlefield, Lotus Cobra will allow me to add any color of mana to my mana pool, and I will add a blue. Okay?
Alright.
I will play an island for turn from my hand, and Lotus Cobra will net me another blue. So as you can see, quite a lot of value off of those Lotus Cobras right now. They're helping both of us, and it's quite fantastic. Although I'm going to play what I consider to be a very, very fun card. I'm a blue, and 3 more, and I'm going to cast a Fact or Fiction. What Fact or Fiction does is it allows me to look at the top 5 cards of my library. An opponent gets to separate those cards into 2 piles. One goes to my hand, the other goes to my graveyard. So this can be painful for me, but it can also help fill my hand. And having lots of cards in hand is exactly what Tishana wants.
This is definitely going to be a hard decision on putting into 2 piles.
Yeah, Fact or Fiction can, like I said, it's taking a chance. But it does get 5 cards out of your deck. Thins your deck a little bit.
I will put these 2.
Priest of Titania and Jin-Gitaxias.
And then Herald of the Secret Streams, Rishkar's Expertise, and a Psychosis Crawler in a pile of 3. It was very hard to pick piles for these cards. I believe this was the best option for my game.
It's certainly an interesting option. Taking the Priest of Titania and Jin-Gitaxias affords me Jin-Gitaxias. Taking the Psychosis Crawler and Rishkar's Expertise affords me the ability to win this game quite efficiently. See, Psychosis Crawlers, I'm actually going to take these 3. I will drop Jin-Gitaxias and the Priest. Psychosis Crawler, its power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in my hand, so it's just like my commander, and it's also like my Overbeing of Myth here. But whenever I draw a card, each opponent loses a life, so that can get out of hand rather quickly. And the reason I don't mind dropping my Priest of Titania and Jin-Gitaxias is because I'm holding an Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness will allow me to return any card from my graveyard to my hand, and I'm going to return my Priest of Titania.
Interesting choice. Definitely thought you would have went for Jin-Gitaxias.
Potentially. What I am going to do is I'm going to pay green and 1 more to cast my Priest of Titania, which is going to trigger my Kindred Discovery. Since it is an elf, it allows me to draw a card from my deck. See, now I can tap my Priest of Titania for a green mana for each elf I have in play. Doesn't seem like a lot, but there's another combo piece that goes with Kindred Discovery in this deck, and I'm hoping I can get to it. It would be very interesting. 7 in hand. I'm going to attack you with Krufix. Actually, I'm going to restrain myself with Krufix this turn. I'm just going to attack you with Overbeing of Myth for 7.
Alright.
This mana will empty out into colorless, by the way.
I think I want to block with my Lotus Cobra.
Okay.
7 damage is just too much to take right now. And I feel fairly confident with my mana right now. So
You do have a pretty strong mana base already.
Lotus Cobra will die. Your creature will live.
I'll end my turn at that. And this mana now is colorless.
I will untap. I will draw 2 for Rites of Flourishing.
Okay.
Excellent, excellent. I will play a command tower that is going to trigger my Omnith. I will create a 5/5 red and green elemental creature token.
Skara.
I will then play a Kessig Wolfrun and make a second elemental.
Kessig Wolfrun. Here we go.
I will then tap a forest, a mountain, and one more to play my Kierna Charioteer that I tutored last turn. So this card, base power and toughness 3/3, trample. Other creatures I control gain trample. Or the half trample, sorry.
Fun stuff.
Pass the turn with no attacks.
No attacks again, huh? Okay.
Not when you have creatures that can kill mine.
Yeah. Well, Omnath, I can't kill Omnath. But... So I will untap. If you don't untap, I will roll for Mana Crypt and call heads. And it's... Oh, tails. I finally get hit. So I will go down to 37. Still that 2 mana floating right there. I will draw 3 for turn. Here we go. I'll play a command tower, netting me a blue mana. Need that blue mana, right?
Always.
I will pay one of my floating colorless to cast a Sol Ring. Sol Ring, fantastic artifact. And now... What to do? Okay, I think I'm going to do this. This is another card I believe is highly underrated. So 2 green and 4 more to cast Rishkar's Expertise. What this card does is it allows me to draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures I control, and then I get to cast a card with converted mana cost 5 or less from my hand without paying its mana cost. So we'll resolve the first part. The greatest power among creatures I control is currently my Overbeing of Myth at 7. So I will double my hand size. I'm drawing 7 cards. I will pay a green to cast a Fyndhorn Elves. And since I cast an elf, an elf entered the battlefield under my control, Kindred Discovery will let me draw a card. I am going to make use of your Rites of Flourishing. Play an additional land this turn.
Okay.
I'll pay blue 1, 2 to cast a Rhystic Study. Rhystic Study is an enchantment. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, I get to draw a card unless that player pays 1 mana. It can be a very, 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 very powerful card. I'm going to tap my Kiara's Follower to untap my Mana Crypts. And I think it's time. Blue-green. 1, 2, 3, 4, because I control 2 elves. 5.
Actually, you will get
Oh,
a
right.
mana off of my Mina and Den.
It also includes your creatures as well. So I will untap that forest, and I will bring in Tishana, Voice of Thunder. It's Tishana's ability, if you've been going along with what my deck is doing so far, when she enters the battlefield, I get to draw a card for each creature I control. So the deck likes to build up on creatures. It includes herself, because it has to enter the battlefield. I can currently control 9 creatures, so I will net 9 more draws. In addition, I have no maximum hand size, and her power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in my hand. Quite a fantastic move. I really like this card. I think it's great. And we're going to break the game a little bit more here. Green and 2 more, I'll cast the Growing Rights of Itlimoc card. So this allows me to look at the top 4 cards of my library and choose a creature from amongst those 4. That card goes to my hand. I have to reveal it. I will reveal Kopala, Warden of Waves. So it turns out I run 4 Merfolk in this deck. I forgot. I just recently threw Kopala in as a way to protect Tishana from being targeted. And then at the end of my turn, if Growing Rights of Itlimoc is in play and I control at least 4 creatures, it transforms into Tank Beast, as I like to call it. I'll pay a green and float a blue and cast the Birds of Paradise. I thought I heard something too. I will move to combat and attack with Overbeing of Myth for 20.
And I will obviously block with 5/5 Elemental.
And what happens when your elemental dies?
I can hit you or a creature you control for 3 damage.
Fun. What is taking the hit?
I will take out
My Priest of Titania.
Yes.
Choice. Good choice. I think we'll get out of hand if I get my combo off for it the right way. And with no maximum hand size, at the end step of my turn, Growing Rights of Itlimoc will transform into Itlimoc Cradle of the Sun. At least for now. You may go.
I will untap.
The blue mana in my pool will empty out into colorless.
I will draw 2.
For those of you wondering about a Lotus Cobra trigger at the end of my turn there, Itlimoc Cradle of the Sun transformed. It did not enter the battlefield, therefore it will not trigger Lotus Cobra.
I will tap green, and then I will pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I will play Animist Awakening.
For 10.
For 10. So I reveal the top 10 cards of my library, put all land cards from among them onto the battlefield, tapped, and the rest on the bottom of my library in a random order. If I have Spell Mastery, so if there are 2 or more instants or sorcery cards in my graveyard, I get to untap those.
1 second, I just want to check through my hand and make sure there's nothing silly I want to do.
And as you can see, I do not have Spell Mastery. I have 2 creatures and a sorcery.
So the lands will enter tapped. Apart from asking if you're going to pay 1 for Ristic Study.
No, you may draw a card.
Okay, I will draw. You may go.
All right.
You may resolve it.
1, 2, 3, 4,
10, right?
5, correct. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Not as good as last time, I think, eh?
Nope. So I will get 3 lands onto the battlefield tapped, which will trigger my Omnith, giving me 3 elementals. The rest of these cards go to the bottom of my library in a random order.
Shouldn't that be 4? You already had 1, right?
Yes, my bad. I have 4 now.
For those of you that are wondering, if you're wondering why I keep looking at the top card of my library, I do have Vizier of the Menagerie in my deck, in play, which allows me to look at the top card of my library whenever I like. Just clarifying.
I will now pass the turn.
Okay, I understand now why you don't want to attack. On your end step, I'm going to tap Itlimoc Cradle of the Sun for a green mana for each creature I control. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which will filter out into colorless.
Yes. sir.
Krufix used to be the commander of this deck until I found out how much I loved my fantastic commando. Entering my turn with 10 colorless mana floating in my pool. Not to mention all the mana in play, correct?
Correct.
I will roll for Mana Crypt and call heads. And it is a 1, it's tails, I take 3. Excellent. Okay, I will draw 3 for turn.
Yes.
Pay one of my floating colorless to cast Elvish Mystic.
Yep.
If anyone doesn't follow that, then Vizier of the Menagerie allows me to spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells, so I can actually use colorless mana to cast my Elvish Mystic. Since it is an elf, Kindred Discovery will allow me to draw a card. There are so many options for me. I do get 2 lands, right?
Correct.
Excellent. I'm going to play a Novigen, Heart of Progress. This is the Simic Guild House, I believe.
Would you like to trigger Lotus Cobra?
I absolutely would. I'm going to add a blue, typical, to my mana pool. And I'm also going to play a forest. And I will add another blue to my mana pool. I'm going to tap at Lamok, Cradle of the Sun, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green mana. I am then going to tap my Kior's Follower to untap at Lamok, Cradle of the Sun, and tap it for an additional 10 green mana. Excellent, so I've got 20 green, 2 blue, and 9 colorless floating in my pool right now. You imagine that, just not emptying out at the end of the turn?
Yes, it will be very upsetting.
I'm going to pay 3 blue and cast Laboratory Maniac. So, Laboratory Maniac is my win condition in this deck, allowing me to win if I manage to draw out my deck instead of lose. Typically, if you draw a card and you can't, you lose. Laboratory Maniac reverses that and allows me to draw out my deck. And if I have the mana here, I think I might be able to do it. Blue, blue, blue. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Let me double check. I've got 35 mana.
Correct.
In addition to the 3 blue I paid.
Yes.
So X equals 35. I will be okay. Okay, so I'm going to cast Blue Sun Zenith for 35.
Alright.
Drawing me 35 cards from my library.
Okay.
And now I will pay...
As Blue Sun Zenith gets shuffled back into your deck.
It does. Gotta make sure I do that, right?
Yep.
My pitiful deck right here. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yep.
Simple misplays like that. Shouldn't be doing this.
I will cut this standard size deck.
And then one of the mini win conditions in this deck is, of course, me paying 3 blue and 2 more and casting Windfall.
Yes.
So what Windfall does is it makes each player discard their hands and then draw cards equal to the highest amount of cards discarded this way. I am in position of over at least 50% of my deck right now. Making me discard and draw my deck. Since I have insufficient cards in my deck to draw, Lab Maniac lets me win the game.
Congratulations.
Yeah, good game. That was an unexpected twist, especially in our first game.
It was unexpected, but definitely a turn of events.
You know, I was sitting there, I had like half my deck in my hand, 51 cards exactly. And I was like trying to figure out, how do I want to win? Like, which way do I want to win?
You know, I was expecting some Crater Hoof Behemoth or Overwhelming Stampede shenanigans like you always like to get into.
You know, I even forgot to resolve the second part of Rishkar's expertise. Remember when I cast it and drew 7 cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually resolve the second part of it to play a card from my hand for free.
Really? You did?
No. No, I didn't. I totally missed it. I just went straight on and played my Finhorn Elves.
I didn't even notice that. You know, before you cast your Windfall, I had Insurrection in hand. And next turn I was going to Insurrection for the win, but you beat me to the punch.
Oh, I hate Insurrection. It's like my least favorite way to lose in Magic. I think I'd rather, like, get milled than lose to Insurrection. Just the thought of you having control of everything I've worked hard to put on the board, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, but you know that I hate losing to Lab Maniac, so I think it's pretty even that way.
In any case, it was a unexpected turn of events.
Yes, but I do enjoy watching you combo off and going for the win. It's definitely very exciting to just sit there and see what you can do.
There's so many different ways to win in Commander, and it's absolutely why it's our favorite format.
As you guys can see, Neil is actually holding our 3-month-old daughter. Her name's Ariana. We are hoping she will be a gamer like us and join us in some future game videos.
Maybe in a few years or so.
Yeah, not right now.
Well, once again, please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. There is definitely going to be some more footage in the future, and we'll definitely see you in our next video.
Thanks for watching.
See you later.
Bye.